Chapter 22-21. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, we believe in you. Do you think anyone will believe in you? The blue-robed Lin Ling smiled faintly. I believe in him. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a delicate voice echoed. Under countless gazes, Lu Susu walked towards Lin Ling. As she walked, she said, "This land belongs to him. He is the true realm lord. Because I feel that the land of my hometown is overjoyed because of his return. He is our king. I believe in him too." Those who were kneeling stood up one after another. These warriors were all emotional and had tears in their eyes. From Lin Ling's words, they saw the strong young man of the past. It was this young man who led them and made a name for themselves. Lord Lin Ling, Starry Sky Left Court Palace, return. Yes. Lord Lin Ling, Blazing Right Court Palace, return. Yes. These two palaces were Lin Ling's left and right hands. Many of them had followed Lin Ling since he was in the Heaven Mystics Kingdom. Pack, pack, pack. They walked towards Lin Ling in an orderly manner, shocking the world. Did no one believe in Lin Ling? Did everyone abandon Lin Ling? However, they believed that they would still follow Lin Ling. All of you are crazy. Yes. Sun Yu Wushuang and Yu Wushuang were furious. Before this, no one believed Lin Ling. But now they did, and quite a few of them. His eyes can't fool anyone, Lu Susu said as she walked. Looking at the black-robed Lin Ling, her heart was moved. This was her man. Thank you. I said that I will protect you. I did in the past, now, and in the future. Lin Ling looked at Lu Susu emotionally. In fact, he didn't care if everyone abandoned him. Even if he walked alone in the dark, he wouldn't feel lonely. As long as he had family and friends in his heart, it was enough. Yes, the real Lin Ling would never abandon me. Lu Susu finally smiled. Her smile was extremely beautiful. No matter how Lin Ling treated her, she didn't care. Because she had said that she would protect him. That was enough. Now, you still dare to say that no one believes me? Retracting his smile, Lin Ling coldly looked at the mysterious young man in the sky. The young man's face was a little ugly. He originally wanted to see Lin Ling get abandoned, but the result was beyond his expectations. There are so few of you. You can't compare to me, the blue-robed young man said disdainfully. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded and looked at the people in front of him. I've said it before. I don't want to see the blood of my brothers. So you have one more chance. Now stand in line. A threat. This was a strong threat. One could imagine that if they still did not choose a team, then what awaited them would be a massacre. However, this threat was quickly met with mockery. Still, no one believed Lin Ling's words. I believe you. But at this time, a voice suddenly sounded. Looking carefully, it was actually the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother. Jade Lake Heavenly Mother, Lin Ling's former enemy, was also the legend of Yungu Immortal Platform. But from a certain point of view, she was also Lin Ling's grand disciple, because her master was Yungu Martial God. But now she actually believed Lin Ling? Even Lin Ling was extremely surprised. Jade Lake Heavenly Mother, do you want to betray the sect? The blue-robed Lin Ling in the sky suddenly shouted. This Jade Lake Heavenly Mother wanted to humiliate him. I don't dare. It's just that I'm too familiar with the real Lin Ling. Although he kills decisively in his life, he has never killed an innocent person, let alone his family and friends. Only his enemies think of him as a killing god. But you have killed too many innocent people for fun. So, I feel that you are not like Lin Ling. Jade Lake Heavenly Mother walked out step by step, looking at the blue-robed Lin Ling in the sky. Very well, you will be the first to die later. The blue-robed Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. I also believe in him. Another person walked out. It was the former Fire Clan Emperor, Huaao. And beside him was Princess Wuxia. Huaao smiled faintly and said, Blue-robed Lin Ling, although your strength seems stronger than the black-robed Lin Ling, the real Lin Ling is not afraid of any strong enemy. His strength is not as good as yours, but he dares to face you. So I believe that he is Lin Ling. I also believe in the black-robed Lin Ling. Maybe it's because I believe in the death god. More people walked out. They were the stone deities of Xianhuang Dayu. Acquaintances, brothers and friends who had fought side by side in the past. They all walked out. In an instant, the two sides formed two great forces. Of course, the blue-robed Linling's side was stronger because there were experts from the Ghost Clan, Deity Clan, and Devil Clan on his side. As for the human experts, they still didn't know who the real Linling was. But it was obvious that the blue-robed Linling was stronger. So they followed the blue-robed Linling. Linling looked at the people who walked over, and his heart warmed. These were friends, brothers who had gone through thick and thin together. In the past, we lived and died together, and it's still the same today. Mistress Shui Wu and the others looked at Linling and said, "This was also a gamble, and if they lost, then everyone would die. Ha ha ha, you are all so foolish. Follow me and you will enjoy a boundless future, but follow the fake. You should know what the consequences are." At this time, the blue-robed Linling laughed wildly. "Only death awaits them." Working Sri and Yu Wu Shuang laughed gloomily as well. When they saw how confident they were, the others behind them roared with laughter as well. It was like they were watching the annihilation of the black-robed Linling and the others. How interesting. Another Linling has actually appeared. Meanwhile, ghastly winds blew, and then an enormous coffin smashed down. A pale-faced man sat on the coffin, while a large number of ghosts fluttered around him. The heavenly coffin Grand Emperor. The blue-robed Linling's eyes lit up. He was one of the 4 ghost emperors of the Ghost Clan, and he was an ancient titan. Haha, Linling. I was just passing by and wanted to watch the show. However, you should be able to deal with your clan's problems, right? The man on the coffin smiled faintly. His words were actually an admission that the blue-robed Linling was the real Linling. Hearing this, the eyes of the crowd flickered. An ancient titan had admitted it, so it was definitely not fake. It's just a small matter. I'm just regretful that many of my former comrades will die today. The blue-robed Linling shrugged. He was obviously referring to Mistress Shui Wu and the others. Today they would all die. That's good. Let me see how capable this fake fellow is. The man said again. He's just trash. The blue-robed Linling shook his head and finally looked at the Linling. Let's fight. Let's see who is the real Linling and who is the trash. Bang! Along with his voice, a terrifying aura swept out, shaking the entire rainforest's sacred land. Everyone saw the gigantic god and demon standing in the sky, as if they were indomitable. Chapter 22:22. Omnidirectional Suppression Sword Come. The blue-robed Linling bellowed again. His ancient sword buzzed, causing a black hole to appear in the sky. It was full of spatial cracks. Moreover, there were white flames burning around his body. It was very cold. This was the underworld flame. At this moment, he had once again proved that he was Linling. All of his techniques were extremely shocking and even terrifying. Even the eyes of the heavenly coffin Great Emperor narrowed. The blue-robed Linling was really strong. He was definitely the real deal. Linling, be careful. This person's strength has reached the rank 9 Martial Emperor realm. He has more than 150 million laws, and his space and fire laws are not weak. On the ground, Lord Shui Wu and the others looked solemn as they warned. In fact, although they believed that the person in front of them was Linling, the blue-robed youth in the sky was too terrifying. His techniques were exactly the same as Linling's. The real can't be fake and the fake can't be real. Linling said indifferently as he flew towards the sky. Loser, come and fight me. Looking at Linling rushing towards him, the blue-robed Linling slashed out with his sword. The space laws formed a black line that cut through everything. This time, the blue-robed Linling is obviously serious. That imposter will definitely not be able to block it. Many people secretly said. They knew that it was time to end everything. Looking at the identical sword technique, Linling's eyes flickered. However, he was not surprised because he knew that it was the power of the realm origin energy. It used the realm origin energy to form the space laws, and even the fire laws. This method could deceive others, but if it wanted to deceive Linling, who came from the martial god realm, it was impossible. Great creation. Linling also slashed out with his sword, forming a collision of spatial laws. It was like a collision of lightning. You're quite capable. You're more powerful than before. Looks like you've been hiding your strength. However, you're still too weak for me. Heavenly law. The blue-robed youth stretched out his left hand. A white flame jumped and formed the scene of the 9 Serenities hell. Enter reincarnation. The heavenly Tao reincarnation had appeared, sealing everything away. This was clearly Lin Ling's signature fire attribute martial arts. Rumble. There were space laws in front of him, and fire laws in the sky. Lin Ling had nowhere to run. Rumble. Incomparable fire element laws shrouded Lin Ling, dragging Lin Ling into the Six Paths reincarnation. Furthermore, the terrifying Six Paths reincarnation enveloped Lady Shui Wu and the others, dragging them into the Six Paths reincarnation as well. Obviously, they had made the wrong bet. How pitiful. You can't even differentiate between your own adults. Serves you right for entering the cycle of reincarnation. The crowd shook their heads when they saw this scene. At this point, they could already tell that the battle was over. No matter how they looked at it, the fake Lin Ling was no match for the blue-robed Lin Ling. 150 million Yellow Springs flame laws is indeed powerful. The heavenly coffin emperor narrowed his eyes and said, on the ground, the faces of Lady Shui Wu, Lu Susu, and the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother changed. Then, they exchanged glances and smiled bitterly. It seemed that they had indeed made the wrong bet. Regardless of whether the bet was wrong or not, I believe that he is Lin Ling. All I can say is that the blue-robed youth is stronger. Since we've lost the bet, let's follow Lord Lin Ling. Those people did not resist at all. They just stood there quietly, allowing the Six Paths reincarnation in the sky to suck them in. They were willing to accept their loss. However, at this moment, the huge Six Paths reincarnation in the sky suddenly stopped spinning. Moreover, an indifferent voice drifted out. You don't have to follow me. I'm still alive, so you won't die either. Following that cold shout, another flame reincarnation appeared in the flame reincarnation in the sky. Moreover, that flame reincarnation was constantly expanding. With an unstoppable force, it crazily devoured the first Six Paths reincarnation. This scene caused the rainforest sacred land to fall silent. This was reincarnation against reincarnation. Rumble. In the next moment, a deafening sound was heard. Under countless gazes, the first Six Paths reincarnation exploded and was absorbed by a new reincarnation. At the same time, a black-robed figure walked out faintly. This is your reincarnation? Too weak. Yes. That person was none other than the black-robed Lin Ling. Seeing this scene, the blue-robed youth's expression changed drastically. In fact, he came from the martial god realm, so he could easily control the laws of this realm. Moreover, he was above everyone. Who would have thought that a country bumpkin could actually break his law martial technique? This country bumpkin was too strange. Of course, if he knew that Lin Ling had returned from the martial god realm, he would not be so surprised. You're no match for me when it comes to playing with fire. Yes. In the sky, Lin Ling stepped out step by step. Seeing this, Lord Watamist and the others became excited. Lin Ling had won the battle of the Yellow Springs Flame. As for the two battle monarchs, Sun and Moon Wushuang, they were a little worried. Could it be that the black-robed Lin Ling was the real one? Haha, you have some skills. It seems that I've underestimated you. Haha. At this moment, the blue-robed youth laughed wildly. Until now, he still did not take Lin Ling seriously. In fact, the reason he had pretended to be Lin Ling was for fun. Moreover, after meeting the real Lin Ling, he had even thought of making fun of him. The reason he had come here was because he had been invited by the Sun Divine Nation. That was because the Sun Divine Nation was originally a citizen of the martial god realm. They had just been demoted. To him, the Sun Divine Nation was just a branch of his race. Moreover, he had an even more important reason for coming here. He had come for Grandma One. However, so what if you're good at playing with fire? The real Lin Ling is not only good at the Tao of fire. Haha. The blue-robed Lin Ling smiled faintly. Is that so? Yes. Lin Ling also smiled and retracted the Six Paths of reincarnation. This action shocked countless people, because Lin Ling's Six Paths of reincarnation was very strong. Lin Ling should have used his strongest move to defeat his opponent. However, Lin Ling had actually retracted his flames? What are you doing? The blue-robed Lin Ling also furrowed his brows. Lin Ling did not speak. He looked at Lu Susu and the others on the ground and sighed softly. To prove it, and also to repay their trust. So, The blue-robed Lin Ling asked suspiciously. I'm going to crush you in every field, and tell them that I'm the real Lin Ling. Lin Ling smiled. His smile was extremely cold, but it also carried a strong sense of pride. His body swept towards the blue-robed Lin Ling. At this moment, he finally revealed his abilities. No matter what the other party's goal was, it was all over. This was his world. No one was allowed to behave atrociously here. Godfiend. A roar came out of Lin Ling's mouth. The real Godfiend body finally appeared behind him. It was as if it could swallow mountains and rivers, and the Godfiend roared. So you're playing close combat. However, you're too confident in yourself. Chapter 22-23. Get what you want. Do whatever you want, boom. He also unleashed his godly demon body. 2 gods and 2 demons collided in an earth-shattering collision. You don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. The things I've seen are beyond your imagination. The blue-robed Lin Ling shouted coldly. He didn't believe that a martial artist from a small world could shake him. This was a joke. Boom. However, he knew that this wasn't a joke in the next moment. His fist had just collided with Lin Ling's fist, but his fist was instantly shattered. His bones also made cracking sounds. His entire arm was crippled. What a powerful force. The blue-robed Lin Ling's expression changed drastically. God's palm. However, before he could react, a palm that seemed to cover the sky overbearingly and landed on his face. It directly knocked out his teeth and bent his chin. As for the palm that collided with Lin Ling's, it was directly destroyed. At this moment, Lin Ling was like a violent god of war, destroying everything in his path. Boom! When Lin Ling kicked out fiercely, the blue-robed Lin Ling smashed into the ground like a cannonball. Seeing this, everyone in the rainforest's holy land felt their hearts explode. Berserk, truly berserk. That was the true godly demon body. Countless eyes stared at the black-robed Lin Ling in the sky. At this moment, their hearts trembled, as if they were looking at the king of godly demons. Boom! However, at this moment, the ground rumbled and a figure quickly shot into the sky. It was the blue-robed Lin Ling. However, his expression was extremely ugly at this moment. Although he had suffered a heavy blow earlier, with his strength, he could obviously recover from that kind of injury quickly. However, the injury in his heart from the humiliation could never be healed. He was a genius of the martial god realm. But he was humiliated by a country bumpkin? Lin Ling, does it hurt? While he was furious, Lin Ling suddenly sneered. He had personally called the blue-robed youth Lin Ling. Of course, this was obviously a form of sarcasm. I will kill you. The blue-robed Lin Ling's face was extremely ferocious. He was actually injured by an ant from the lower realm. This was a huge humiliation. If you want to kill me, then come at me, trash. Lin Ling laughed again, and returned the word trash to him. After he finished speaking, he didn't waste any more time, and shot towards his opponent. His god-demon body once again erupted with a terrifying power. After cultivating in the martial god world, Lin Ling's celestial devil physique had reached the 8th grade divine rank, and his strength had reached 1,000 universes of force. As for the blue-robed Lin Ling, although he had imitated Lin Ling's fiend god physique, he had only imitated Lin Ling to the level before he went to the martial god world. Therefore, in terms of physical strength, he was no match for Lin Ling. Rumble! All of a sudden, the blue-robed Lin Ling was like a sandbag, being ruthlessly beaten by Lin Ling. From the sky to the ground, and then from the ground to the sky, that earth-shattering collision caused everyone to widen their eyes, especially the 2 battle monarchs, unparalleled sun and unparalleled moon. Their mouths were agape. This was because the blue-robed Lin Ling that they looked up to was being completely abused. At this moment they were suddenly afraid. If the blue-robed Lin Ling died, then their fates would be extremely miserable. Flames and physical strength, he was completely defeated. Could it be that the black-robed Lin Ling is the real deal? In the distance, the heavenly coffin great emperor frowned and said, Enough! At this moment, the blue-robed Lin Ling shouted angrily and frantically retreated. He had never thought that he would lose to Lin Ling in both domains. I will kill you with this sword. An ancient sword appeared in his hand, and he gathered all the spatial laws, turning it into the most dazzling sword, and slashed towards Lin Ling. Whoosh! Just as the sword slashed out, The sky was instantly split into two. It was so terrifying. Seeing this, the two battle monarchs were filled with anticipation. This sword should be able to turn defeat into victory. Kill me? You are too confident. At this moment, the tyrannical song sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. Around the sword, spatial laws roared. His realm essence had been converted by 20%, causing his laws to be much stronger than before. This is not confidence, but your fire martial way and godly demon body are very powerful. But they can't kill me. I only need one sword to kill you. The blue-robed Lin Ling let out a low shout. At this moment, his aura quietly changed. It was as if he was no longer pretending to be Lin Ling, but returning to his original self. Perhaps to him, this game of impersonation should end. You only need one sword to kill me? You're too optimistic. Lin Ling's eyes were extremely cold. His long hair fluttered, and the space around him exploded, as if he had walked out from the void. And those spatial laws actually hid a trace of realm essence. This reminded him of the guidance of the two seniors before he entered the martial god realm. Ask for wind, ask for wind, ask for rain. When he became a true realm lord, this realm would be under his control. Wind, rain, come, I will do whatever I want. Shwa! A dazzling sword light, like a line of death, ruthlessly slashed out. At this moment, Lin Ling's spatial laws had reached 150 million, and that terrifying sword directly broke the blue-robed youth's sword. Moreover, it revealed its sharpness and slashed towards the blue-robed youth. At this moment, the blue-robed young man's pupils constricted, and his heart fiercely skipped a beat. He could faintly see the birth of a world overlord. That kind of domineering aura only appeared in the martial god realm, and it even appeared in his senior. How could this be? How could a mere junior from a rural area know about realm essence? This must be a fluke, or even an illusion. While he was still in shock, the sword light slashed over, enlarging in his eyes. It seemed to be telling him that this fake Lin Ling had reached the end of his arrogance. 3 great domains, physical body, fire, and sword, I will crush you in all aspects. Shwa! The sword light was like the moon, causing a smear of scarlet blood to sprinkle down from the sky. The blue-robed Lin Ling was slashed alive, split in two. Seeing this, the earth became deathly silent. Dead. Could it be that the black-robed Lin Ling was the real Lin Ling? However, all of this was possible, because in the 3 great domains, the blue-robed Lin Ling had been completely defeated. Moreover, the blue-robed Lin Ling's strength was obvious to all, but he still died. This meant that he was not the real Lin Ling. Pudong. At this moment, many people directly knelt down in fright. They seemed to be on the wrong side, especially the unparalleled sun and moon battle monarch. Their faces were pale, and they directly shouted, "So you are the real Lin Ling? Sorry, we were wrong before." Along with their voices, many people also shouted and begged for mercy. They did not expect the blue-robed youth to be so weak. He was actually completely defeated. As for the sky coffin great emperor in the distance, his expression was extremely serious. He also did not expect the black-robed Lin Ling to be the real lord. Looking at Lin Ling in the sky, Lady Watermist and the others were extremely excited. This was because this was the real Lin Ling, their king. They had made the right bet. Of course, the most important thing was that Lin Ling had not changed. Even if the world changed, Lin Ling was still Lin Ling. Chapter 22-24. Thousand-faced young master, before this we were deceived. We are innocent. The 2 battle kings hurriedly said. I don't think you're innocent. To put it bluntly, strength decides everything. You think that blue-robed Lin Ling is stronger, so you're standing on his side. Isn't that right? Lu Susu said. She didn't believe their words at all. We're innocent. We're innocent. Hearing those words, everyone kowtowed and quietly stared at Lin Ling. However, they realized that Lin Ling was indifferent. He didn't say that he wanted to kill them. This made them feel relieved. It seemed that Lin Ling still cared about old friendships. However, not long after they kowtowed, a demonic aura rippled out from the ground. A figure that seemed to be condensed from metal slowly floated up. The entire process was silent, causing the scene to be extremely strange. Most importantly, this person's face didn't have any facial features, causing people to feel a chill run down their spines. It seems that I've underestimated you. However, it's time for the game to end. Boom! After the golden figure floated up, he coldly said. Moreover, a force that had never appeared in this world crazily erupted. It was like a domain force field. The sky instantly shattered like glass, and a void appeared. Moreover, it was a void that one couldn't see the end of. In the surroundings, wind, snow, sun, moon, and stars appeared as well. It was as if the laws of this world were completely under his control. This was the power of world essence. In a weak world, the power of world essence was clearly able to summon the wind and summon the rain. However, in the martial god world, world essence didn't have such powerful might. The reason was that a weak world couldn't withstand world essence. Therefore, a powerful world essence expert could directly control the entire world. How terrifying! Is this the blue-robed youth from before? Boom! This is the collapse of the heavens and the earth. Countless people stared at the terrifying scene in the sky. Their hearts trembled. This kind of power was too strong. Even the expressions of Lady Shui Wu and the others changed violently. Never had they imagined that this fellow who was impersonating Lin Ling would actually possess such formidable strength. You're Lin Ling, right? I'm sorry for impersonating you before. But don't think that I'm interested in your glory. I'm just treating it as a game. Of course, you're still worthy of praise for being able to defeat me. The golden figure said faintly. There was a metallic liquid flowing on the surface of his body. It was extremely mysterious. Why praise me? Lin Ling said with a calm expression. He was not surprised at all. In fact, he already knew that this mysterious person was not dead. That was why he didn't care about the two battle kings begging for mercy, because he knew that the battle wasn't over. I praised you because you saw through my game and defeated me. The golden figure spread out his hands and said, But now, do you still think you can defeat me? I still think so, Lin Ling said indifferently. Haha, ignorant ant. You don't know that there's always someone better than you. The golden figure snorted coldly. Let me tell you, your world is only one of the myriad worlds, and it's extremely weak. If it weren't for our branch family in this world, with my status, I wouldn't have come here. This is one of the reasons why I'm here. Secondly, I don't know what kind of attraction your weak world has, but it actually attracted an expert to live in seclusion here. This is the second reason why I'm here. Hearing this, Lin Ling's eyes flickered. The expert that the other party was talking about should be Grandma Wendao. He didn't know how Grandma Wendao was doing, but it seemed that the mysterious person hadn't found her. However, Grandma Wendao must be hiding some secrets since she had invited an expert from the martial god world to come here. Have you heard of the Grand Court County? The golden figure said again, but seeing Lin Ling's silence, he smiled disdainfully. I guess you don't know. With your knowledge, I'm afraid you don't even know about the martial god world. But before I die, I'll tell you. I'm from the Grand Court County, and I'm young Master Thousand Faces. I have 8 clones that have entered the myriad worlds to train. This is just one of my clones. The power that we control is something that you ants can only dream of in your lifetime. That's boundary essence. As soon as he finished speaking, the rainforest became even more silent. More and more people gathered. They looked at the golden figure that was like an emperor, and their faces became extremely frightened. Could it be that this person was from the martial god world? For many people, the martial god world was like the distant sky, a place that all warriors dreamed of. Boundary essence can be easily converted into law, but law cannot be converted into boundary essence. Only those who have boundary essence can enter the martial god world. That is a symbol of status, and is not something that trash like you can understand. Strong boundary essence can summon the wind and rain. Look, the golden figure said proudly. His appearance seemed mysterious, but in fact, his age was about the same as Lin Ling's. As he pointed, a snowstorm began to fall from the distant sky, freezing the heaven and earth, forming the scenery of the snow country. The sun is out, the golden figure shouted again. The snowstorm disappeared, and the sun appeared, scorching the earth. At this moment he was like a god. He could have anything he wanted. In this weak world, although I only have 10% of boundary essence, it is enough to dominate everything. The golden figure's voice was like the majestic heavens. Staring at the shocking scene in the distance, the crowd trembled. This was too terrifying. It was actually the power of boundary essence that surpassed the law. One must know that powerful warriors comprehended the law and used the law of heaven and earth to defeat their opponents. But this mysterious person actually changed the law and even created his own law. In that case, who could be his opponent? No one at all. 10% of boundary essence? Lin Ling looked at the other party indifferently. The reason why he was listening to the other party's nonsense was because he wanted to get more information. And now he knew a little. First, the other party did not come for him, but for Grandma Wendao. Second, the Sun God race was an abandoned citizen of the martial god world, but their background was not simple. You said so much because you were defeated by me before. So you want to tell me how lowly I am to wash away the humiliation from before. Finally, Lin Ling said indifferently. As soon as he said this, the golden figure nodded. Indeed, he could easily kill Lin Ling. But before doing so, he wanted Lin Ling to know how weak he was. The previous battle was just his warm-up. Okay, I understand. You don't need to talk nonsense. However, after knowing his strength, Lin Ling was still extremely calm. This undoubtedly infuriated the golden figure. He looked at the ground and said, Now, I want to ask all of you, is Lin Ling the master of this world? Or is it me? When he was defeated before, many people begged Lin Ling for mercy. Now, he wanted to see who would dare to beg Lin Ling for mercy. It's you, sir. We only recognize you as our master. Chapter 22-25. Do you understand? Lin Ling kneeled down. The heavenly coffin great emperor flew out and shouted angrily. He was more excited than anyone else, because this mysterious person was actually from the martial god realm. If he could curry favor with him, this mysterious person might be able to give him a few pointers, because according to what he knew, among the ancient giants, there were a few who had already comprehended the world essence. That's right. This senior is from the martial god realm. You Lin Ling are just a country bumpkin. Kneel down. If you offend that senior and implicate us, you won't be able to atone for your sins even if you die. Kneel down now. Many people also shouted, and some even pointed at Lin Ling and cursed. In their opinion, no matter how strong Lin Ling was, he was no match for the martial god world's experts. As for Lin Ling's contribution to this world in the past, it was just a joke. Of course, they would still thank Lin Ling in their hearts, but only in their hearts. Compared to their lives, Lin Ling's life was even more worthless. You're all shameless. Who was it that knelt down and begged for mercy earlier? Now you're turning around and targeting Lin Ling. You're all utterly devoid of conscience. Lady Watamist and the others immediately roared furiously at the cursing of the entire world. This group of people was simply too shameless. Cut the crap. You're going to die too. Senior from the martial god realm, allow me to kill them. Numerous voices of rebuttal resounded once more, and many people even took the initiative to stand out for the sake of claiming credit. Haha. The powerhouse called Young Master Thousand-Faced smiled satisfactorily as he stared at Lin Ling. Do you have anything you want to say? Previously, when Lin Ling defeated him, he thought that Lin Ling would be very happy because he had once again taken back his glory. Unfortunately, when Lin Ling was at his happiest, he threw a bucket of cold water at the wrong time and interrupted Lin Ling's pride. He felt that Lin Ling must be feeling very sad right now. However, under his gaze, Lin Ling didn't say anything. Instead, he walked forward step by step. Seeing this, young Master Thousand-Face did not do anything. He slowly said, If you want to give birth to a boundary origin seed, there are only two ways. 1. Kill 3,000 peak martial emperors. 2. Self-comprehension. Of these two methods, the first one is the fastest. Moreover, I've also helped a few ancient giants successfully comprehend world origin. Many people's expressions changed greatly when they heard this. This young Master Thousand Faces was indeed formidable. This also meant that as long as young Master Thousand Face was happy, they would also have a chance to comprehend boundary essence. However, the first method is ultimately an unorthodox method. The boundary essence seed that is born is not as good as the second method. The second method is self-comprehending. Only the geniuses of the various worlds can successfully be born. Once the boundary essence is converted to 100%, the boundary essence can be fused with one's talent. This also means that no matter how talented a martial artist is, they can only use the power of laws. Without boundary essence, they are all ants. His voice, which was as majestic as the heavens, continued to drift out. The crowd was enlightened. So that was how it was. They immediately benefited greatly. Do you understand now? Young Master Thousand Faces' gaze finally looked at Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, he had already arrived in front of him. However, people didn't care at all because they also knew that no matter how strong Lin Ling's talent was, without boundary essence, everything was an ant. Then they saw Lin Ling move. He didn't even care as he threw out a punch, overestimating himself. Everyone had the same thought in their minds. Even young Master Thousand Face was the same. He shook his head and said, "Looks like you still don't understand what boundary essence is. My boundary essence can change the world, and even!" Exclamation point. However, before he finished speaking, the punch landed on his stomach, causing his face to distort. Boom. In the next moment, under countless gazes, young Master Thousand Faces' body exploded. Golden liquid splattered everywhere. Suddenly, the space became deathly silent. There was no sound at all. On the ground, the martial artists all opened their mouths wide. Previously, when they listened to young Master Thousand Faces' guidance, they felt that they had benefited greatly. They also knew that boundary essence was the only way to become stronger. They also yearned for boundary essence, and even hoped that young Master Thousand Face would give them some guidance. At that time, Lin Ling made his move. In their eyes, Lin Ling was simply a mantis blocking a car. He didn't understand what boundary essence was. However, in the next moment, the martial god world genius who possessed boundary essence was directly blown apart. Isn't boundary essence able to ignore all laws? The two great battle monarchs, Heavenly Coffin Great Emperor and Unparalleled Sun and Moon, felt their hearts tremble madly. Nonsense! You should stop before you go too far. In the sky, Lin Ling's expression was as calm as an ancient well, as he indifferently spat out a sentence. Nonsense. Previously, young Master Thousand Face had been giving guidance to everyone, including Lin Ling. However, in Lin Ling's eyes, it was all nonsense. Chi-chi. At this time, the golden water droplets on the ground once again shot into the sky, forming a metallic figure in the sky. However, at this moment his aura was somewhat weak. Most importantly, he stared at Lin Ling with extreme horror. Because to be able to injure him, laws were obviously ineffective. Only boundary essence. However, how could a country bumpkin comprehend boundary essence? Without his reminder and help, the people of this world wouldn't be able to comprehend boundary essence. You injured me? Young Master Thousand Face coldly said. He opened his hands and the world behind him began to collapse. Like broken glass, it swept towards Lin Ling. He wanted Lin Ling to die along with the collapse of the world. Let me show you what the power of boundary essence is. Boom. Rumble. The sky continued to collapse. The void also shattered. It was a shocking sight. On the ground, Lu Susu and the others immediately shouted out in worry. That power was too terrifying. Boundary essence can indeed summon wind and rain in a small world. However, compared to destroying a world, the truly terrifying thing is creating a world. Chi-chi. However, Lin Ling indifferently spat out a sentence in the face of the calamity and gently waved his sleeve. Rumble. Something terrifying happened. The shattered world actually began to slowly recover. Even the sky began to clear up and the sun shone. Even the ground that was affected by the battle was restored to its original state. That terrifying calamity disappeared without a trace under Lin Ling's sleeve. Do you understand? Chi-chi. Lin Ling stepped forward and said indifferently. This sentence undoubtedly shocked the crowd to the extreme. They even rubbed their eyes, feeling that this was a dream. However, the reality was that the sky had indeed recovered. Young Master Thousand Face was guiding everyone before, including Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling was also guiding him now. One destroyed a world, the other created a world. Between the two, it was clear that creating a world was more powerful than destroying it. Do you understand? Chapter 22-26. Friend and Foe, how is this possible? Young Master Thousand Faces' heart was also pounding. In fact, he already had some guesses when Lin Ling heavily injured him. He was just unwilling to admit it. Because how could a youth from the countryside be able to comprehend boundary essence and injure him, who was high above? Unfortunately, this kind of self-deceiving could not be concealed any longer. You have a boundary essence seed. Young Master Thousand Face finally let out a low shout. His voice caused the hearts of the crowd to explode. Boundary essence seed? Lin Ling's eyes revealed a mocking smile. You only have 10% of your boundary essence. In the martial god world, you are indeed at the level of geniuses from various worlds. However, I have seen many geniuses like you. You want to rely on 10% of your boundary essence to guide others? Don't you think your face is very thick? He stepped forward. In his right fist, a mysterious power bloomed. It was boundary essence. Moreover, it was boundary essence that was even more terrifying than young Master Thousand Face. It was definitely more than 10%. That punch shot over like a meteor. Accompanying it were the laws of the falling and blooming of flowers, and the rising and setting of the sun. 10% of boundary essence? Young Master Thousand Faces' throat wriggled. It was as if a mouthful of saliva was stuck in his throat. He did not know what to say. Now of course he understood. He understood it better than anyone. Because the youth opposite him was not a boundary essence seed, but a real boundary essence. Moreover, it seemed to be even stronger than his. This caused his heart to feel as though it was being sliced by a million blades. Before this, how tyrannical was he? He was like a world overlord, giving pointers to the common people, letting these ants know how powerful he was. He thought that Lin Ling was feeling sorrow, and was feeling inferior. He even thought that Lin Ling would kneel down and beg him for pointers. However, all of this was just him comforting himself. The youth opposite him was in fact stronger than him. His arrogant boasting was undoubtedly a resounding slap to his own face. Seeing the terrifying punch coming, young Master Thousand Face panicked. He kept retreating. Wait. How about we let this matter rest? His voice was extremely fast, mixed with fear. The crowd was silent. The genius of the martial god world, that they looked up to, was actually afraid now? Do you think you can escape? However, how could Lin Ling let young Master Thousand Face escape? At this moment, his black robe was wildly dancing in the wind. It was tyrannical and domineering, telling everyone that he was the true king of this place. How dare you? Young Master Thousand Faces' expression turned increasingly ugly. This was one of his clones, and it took him so much effort to comprehend realm essence. Could it be that it was going to be destroyed here? Now that the county competition was approaching, if he spent 10% of his boundary essence here, then the competition would probably have nothing to do with him. Never had he imagined that one of his clones would actually be annihilated by an ant while tempering himself here. To put it bluntly, one of his 8 lives had perished. If that's the case, it's very useless. Lin Ling's boundary essence was like his sword, sweeping towards young Master Thousand Faces, forming a scene of heaven and earth collapsing, locking down all the directions young Master Thousand Faces could escape in. I'm from the Grand Court Commandery of the Martial God Realm. Do you really dare to kill me? Young Master Thousand Faces shouted angrily. Sorry. I'm from the martial god camp of the martial god realm. However, what answered him was a cold voice, causing young Master Thousand Faces' eyes to widen. This young man was also a genius from the martial god realm? What was laughable was that he had actually thought that this young man was just a martial artist from the countryside. Boom. When the roar resounded, the sky regained its tranquility. Young Master Thousand Faces was dead. This genius from the martial god realm, who everyone thought was an extremely mysterious expert, had been killed by the #1 genius of the mortal world today. On the ground, everyone's faces turned pale as they watched young Master Thousand Face die. This matter was too shocking for them. They stared at the black-robed young man in the sky, and only then did they remember that in the past, the young man had taken one step at a time, and finally stood at the peak of the mortal world. Today, even though the experts from the martial god realm had arrived, his position as the #1 sovereign was still unshakable. Undefeated. It was as if he would never be defeated. Are you all proud of him? At this moment, Lin Ling's calm voice woke everyone up from their shock. The crowd fell silent, and their faces turned even paler. In fact, I can understand your hearts. However, Lin Ling's next words eased the pressure in everyone's hearts. Lin Ling could understand them. In this world where the strong are respected, it is human nature to side with an expert. Lin Ling said again, "Thank you for your understanding, sir. In fact, we were also forced to do this." Young Master Thousand Faces is a genius from the martial god realm. To us, the martial god realm is a place we can only look up to. We can't not submit. We were wrong. Many people shouted anxiously. Among them, the two great battle kings were the main ones. I indeed understand your choice. If I were defeated today, my people and I would all die. Therefore, you didn't believe me and chose to stand on his side. Such a choice is human nature. However, since you have made your choice, you are my enemy. You should know how I, Lin Ling, treat my enemies. Lin Ling finally looked at the ground. Boom. Everyone felt as if their hearts had been struck by lightning. Who in the mortal realm didn't know Lin Ling's character? He was very good to his friends and was loyal to his friends. However, to his enemies he was a nightmare. One thought to heaven, one thought to hell. Lin Ling would protect his friends forever. If they were enemies, then he could only kill them. Sir Lin Ling, we were wrong. Everyone was afraid and regretful. Many people even slapped their own faces and questioned themselves why they didn't believe Lin Ling before. Lin Ling had created so many miracles, and today, he could also create a miracle. Why did they believe in the genius of the martial god realm? Some things are wrong. Just like a broken mirror, there will never be a time for it to recover. Kill yourselves. Lin Ling's voice was very calm. There was no fluctuation in it. Kill yourselves. Were they all going to kill themselves here? No, absolutely not. You can't kill us. At this moment, the two battle kings furiously roared. Although we were on the wrong side, we didn't attack you. You still have the right to kill us. Our lives are ours to choose, not yours. However, we can promise you that we will never step into the mortal realm again. Is that enough? Under the two's voices, many people looked up at Lin Ling with eyes full of determination. At this moment of life and death, they no longer cared about Lin Ling. Hearing this, Lu Susu and the others laughed. The great calamity of the mortal realm. The invasion of the devil race and the god race. It was Lin Ling who protected them and won the creation war. At that time, they didn't necessarily come out to support Lin Ling and help Lin Ling. Under the opportunity that Lin Ling fought for, they enjoyed the feeling of being above others and lived for many years. Although they seemed to submit to Lin Ling on the surface, in reality, they were only using Lin Ling. In fact, they were also using Lin Ling to win the favor of the young Master Thousand Faces through Lin Ling. Chapter 22-27. Kill. You guys are really thick-skinned. Who was the one shouting that they should kill Lin Ling? Lady Shui Wu said sarcastically. Her words silenced the two battle kings. As for those who were clamoring, they were also speechless. They obviously couldn't refute her. We were forced by the situation at that time, but we didn't attack you. That's right. That's right. Moreover, we used to treat you as an adult, and you promised to protect us. You can't be so cruel. That's right. However, the two battle kings quickly opened their mouths and spoke as if it was only natural that Lin Ling would protect them. Haha, that's right. Lin Ling also laughed and slowly pulled out the tyrannical song sword. If I want to kill you, do I need to care about your feelings? You guys think too highly of yourselves. If I want to kill you, I'll kill you. What can you do to me? That's right. With that, he ruthlessly swung his sword. The two battle kings' pupils constricted, and a sword mark appeared on their necks. Lin Ling had killed them with a single slash. They suddenly realized how stupid they were. They thought that Lin Ling would still protect them, so they resorted to sophistry. Perhaps they were used to being protected by Lin Ling, and thought that Lin Ling protecting them was a matter of course. But now, Lin Ling used his sword to tell them that their lives were actually the lives of ants. Since you guys won't kill yourselves, then I'll do it. That's right. Lin Ling's voice became colder and colder, and he swung his sword again. Whoosh! That slash reaped a large number of lives again. No, Lord Lin Ling, I was wrong. That's right. Those people all shouted. At this moment, they were finally panicking and regretting their actions. Unfortunately, what greeted them was a slash. Instantly, blood flowed like a river, and the people were plunged into misery and suffering. Brothers, attack to your heart's content. Kill them all. That's right. Lin Ling swung his sword continuously, causing the ground to be filled with miserable screams. At the same time, Lin Ling spoke to Lady Shui Wu and the others. He knew that Lady Shui Wu and the others had suppressed a lot of anger, so it was time for them to release it. Kill to your heart's content. Kill to your heart's content. Clean up the foul atmosphere. Lin Ling shot towards the earth like a god of death. Kill. Blood dyed his clothes red, but he didn't care. Instead, he felt carefree. As for Lord Shui Wu and the others, their faces were filled with killing intent as well. They wanted to kill to their heart's content and turn the world upside down. They disdained to be associated with such people. Since he had chosen the wrong side, he had to pay the corresponding price. And the price was death. Far away, the heavenly coffin Great Emperor trembled as he watched this scene. How terrifying. This was going to kill millions of people. He was scared. He quietly retreated. However, just as he moved, a figure appeared in front of him. Who else could it be but Lin Ling? Plop! The heavenly coffin Great Emperor was so scared that he fell to the ground. Lin Ling's strength and Lin Ling's desire to kill everyone under the heavens was something he didn't dare to face. Great Emperor Heavenly Coffin is an ancient magnate. There's no need for you to be so courteous. Lin Ling looked at him indifferently, but his voice was like that of an emperor who ruled over the life and death of others. Lin Ling, this has nothing to do with me. Please spare my life. Put down the butcher's knife and don't kill more people. The heavenly coffin Great Emperor said nervously. Oh, you seem to be begging for mercy, but in fact you want to affect my state of mind. However, you seem to have forgotten that I, Lin Ling, have killed many people in order to grow to where I am now. 1,000,000 people are just a piece of cake to me. Lin Ling said casually. Since he started learning martial arts, what kind of storm had he not encountered? Right or wrong, good or evil, he didn't care at all. He only wanted to have a clear conscience. I don't dare at all. Lord Lin Ling, please spare my life. The heavenly coffin Great Emperor kowtowed. As one of the 4 great ghost emperors, he didn't even dare to fight and directly kowtowed. This was undoubtedly a great irony. Did you get the treasure from the 3rd stone statue in the past? Yes. Lin Ling said indifferently. Yes, Lord Lin Ling, I'll return it to you now. Yes. The heavenly coffin Great Emperor hurriedly took out an ancient stone and handed it over with both hands. Then he looked at Lin Ling in fear. Lin Ling should let him go now. Lin Ling took the stone, and his eyes were filled with excitement. He had obtained another stone statue fragment. Then, without looking at the heavenly coffin Great Emperor, he slashed out with his sword. His boundary essence was released, cutting off all of the heavenly coffin Great Emperor's laws. His body and the coffin behind him were directly cut in half. You promised not to kill me? The heavenly coffin Great Emperor shouted. He never thought that Lin Ling would kill him. I've said it before. You stole my stone statue in the past, so you must die today. Lin Ling looked at him disdainfully and turned to leave. The heavenly coffin Great Emperor looked at the back of the black-robed figure and was shocked. He knew that Lin Ling had returned to collect his debt. Because of him, this world would definitely be overturned by a storm of blood once again. Unfortunately, he could no longer see all of this. Today he was just passing by. He never thought that this would be the place where he would die. At this moment, Lin Ling held up the stone statue and wrapped it with the power of law. In a short period of time, the seemingly ordinary stone statue shattered and turned into specks of crystal light. This stone statue contained the treasure that Li Xiaoyao left for Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling did not know what it was for the time being. But soon, Lin Ling's face was filled with joy. It was actually 10% of his boundary essence. It seemed that Li Xiaoyao was well prepared. He knew that he would need boundary essence for his reincarnation, so he prepared it in advance. And this 10% of boundary essence was smoothly integrated into Lin Ling's boundary essence. allowing his boundary essence to transform by 30%. If he used the mysterious sword record, he could erupt with 40% of his boundary essence. It seemed that he had to retrieve the remaining stone statues as soon as possible. Go to hell, trash. After putting away his thoughts, Lin Ling slashed out with his sword. It was like the Grim Reaper's scythe. On the ground, those ugly cultivators could not escape even if they wanted to. They could only be killed mercilessly. Other than the cultivators from the mortal world, there were also cultivators from the demon race, ghost race, and deity race. However, they were all killed. They were filled with regret. This rainforest sacred land was not a place that they could enter. As time passed, the ground was filled with blood. The rainforest sacred land was dyed red. Lin Ling wore a black robe and held a large sword in his hand. His eyes looked at the red ground, but his expression did not change at all. Lin Ling, they are all dead. Lu Susu, Lord Shui Wu, and the others ran over and said. They were excited. If Lin Ling did not return at the crucial moment, they would be the ones dead. Behind them, the Jade Lake Heavenly Mother was secretly relieved. Fortunately, she had made the best choice. Otherwise, she would have been killed right now. However, she did not think that Lin Ling was heartless. Because all these shameless people deserved it. Lin Ling was already very kind to them. It's good that everyone is fine. Lin Ling retracted his gaze and looked at everyone. At this moment, his coldness disappeared and was replaced with a clean smile. Yes. Everyone nodded. Oh right, where are my grandpa and the others? Chapter 22-28. True Spirit Island's calamity. Currently, they are on the True Spirit Island where Kame Taoist is. However, Martial God Tianyu and the Mortal World Guardian have been captured by the Sun God Emperor. As for Martial God Yungu and Sword Immortal Tsang Tian, they are protecting the True Spirit Island. Lady Shui Wu said. Lin Ling was shocked. His 3 disciples were extremely powerful. How could they not be able to withstand the attack? It is said that some of the Sun God King's people have comprehended the boundary seed. Jade Lake Heavenly Mother also said what she knew. Lin Ling finally nodded in understanding. No wonder his disciples were unable to resist. However, the boundary seed was not easy to comprehend. Presumably, the Sun God King and the other experts had killed more than 3,000 peak martial emperors to comprehend the boundary seed. As for where the 3,000 peak martial emperors came from, with young Master Thousand Face around, it was not difficult. After all, this world did not have so many experts, but other worlds definitely had them. Let's go to True Spirit Island, Lin Ling said in a low voice. He was back. Then it was time to end everything. By the way, tell the world that I, Lin Ling, have come to collect the debt. Moreover, the creation battle has begun. Lin Ling said again. Yes, my lord. Hearing this, everyone became excited. No matter how many storms and waves they encountered, no matter what kind of powerful enemies they encountered, this man in front of them would lead them to sweep away 1,000 enemies. This was their lord Lin Ling. Let's go. Without further ado, Lin Ling led everyone to True Spirit Island. At this moment in Chaos Demon Sea, a large number of experts were flying across the sky. An old man wearing a fiery red robe was heading towards True Spirit Island. Lord Fire Cloud Divine King. The survivors are hiding in True Spirit Island. There are Taoist Kame, the 7 emperors and Lin Ling's 3 disciples. Someone said respectfully to the old man. The old man was the Fire Cloud Divine King. At this moment his face was cold. In the past, I saw Lin Ling kill the Yellow Spring Great Emperor with my own eyes. At that time, he used the Boundary Origin Seed, which surprised me. Now, I also have the Boundary Origin Seed. I alone can sweep away Taoist Kame and the others. My lord is mighty. The others nodded respectfully. These people were not weak. They had reached the Martial Emperor realm, and had nearly 100 million laws. Of course, the most powerful one was still Fire Cloud Divine King, because he possessed a realm origin seed. He could sweep through any law power, declaring himself a king. That young Master Thousand Faces is truly amazing. He actually increased my strength greatly. In the future, I can also go to the martial god world. Fire Cloud Divine King's eyes flickered. Currently, The entire world did not know that Lin Ling was young Master Thousand Faces in disguise. Only a few of them knew, and those who knew all possessed world origin seeds, and were nurtured as trusted aides by young Master Thousand Faces. However, I don't know where the real Lin Ling has gone. Perhaps he knows of your current strength, and doesn't dare to appear. Haha. Haha. How can that trash be a match for you now? Haha. The others suddenly laughed. Their words made Fire Cloud Divine King nod in satisfaction. He liked to hear such flattery. In the past, Lin Ling alone had scared him into fleeing. If there was a chance in the future, he wanted Lin Ling to know how powerful he was. Let's go. Kill everyone on True Spirit Island. Haha. The mighty experts, led by Fire Cloud Divine King, charged towards True Spirit Island. At this moment, True Spirit Island was facing a great enemy. Not only were there Lin Ling's friends, there were also all the warriors from Saint's big domain. At this moment, they were the only line of defense. If True Spirit Island was breached, then everyone would die, especially some of Lin Ling's relatives and friends. They looked at a one-armed old man on the island, and the determination in their eyes intensified. That one-armed old man was Lin Ling's grandfather, Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. This was Lin Ling's relative. No matter what, they had to protect him, even if they had to be wiped out. Otherwise, when Lin Ling returned, how could they report to him? Old Ancestor Extreme Flame, please leave True Spirit Island immediately. There are powerful enemies chasing after you. Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. Someone said to Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. It was the 7th Emperor. They had been chased all the way here. It was obviously not easy for them to escape here. Little Saint, go outside the island and keep an eye out. If there are any changes, inform us immediately. Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. Martial God Yunga said to the Xianlin Celestial Snake. Little Saint turned into a black torrent and flew out of the island. At this moment, they were not facing local warriors. It was said that the mastermind was an expert from Martial God World. Therefore, they only felt powerless. You don't have to protect me. I'll fight alongside everyone. Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. Old Ancestor Extreme Flame shouted suddenly. Many people became worried and wanted to persuade him again. However, Old Ancestor Extreme Flame waved his hand and said, Haha, if I die in battle, then I can only say that this is all I can do. I can't let my grandson protect me every time. Although I'm weak, I still have a backbone. How can the Lin family's sons be protected by others? Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. Great-grandfather, I'll also fight alongside you. Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. Lin shouted coldly. He was no longer a child. Although he was only 12 or 13 years old, he was already like a teenager. Moreover, he shouldered his father's glory and pride. Therefore, he would not run away. Sigh. Old Ancestor Extreme Flame. Sword Immortal Tsang Tian, Spiritual Master came, and the others sighed. This was the only way. Sun God King, and the others were no match for us in the past. However, today they have comprehended the boundary seed. It's impossible for us to resist them with our power of law. Dark Dragon Emperor said with a frown. Sun God King, and the others had obtained Lin Ling's stone sculpture, and their strength had increased greatly. In addition, they had comprehended the boundary seed. Naturally, they could defeat them. We have to stop them even if we can't. The path of martial arts has never been smooth sailing. Ancient martial god Yun looked at the sky. Rumble. At this moment a roar sounded. In the sky, a huge black shadow fell down. After falling to the ground, it let out a painful cry. Little Saint! Little Saint! Ancient martial god Yin, and the others immediately shouted anxiously. It was the black scale divine snake. In the past it was Lin Ling's mount. Its strength had reached the level of an ancient giant. However, this terrifying existence was suppressed by someone today. Are you all hiding here? Little Saint! Almost at the same time, a cold voice came from the sky. Everyone looked up and found that it was the Fire Cloud Divine King of the Fire Cloud Empire. Finally, he's here. Everyone looked as if they were facing a great enemy. However, they did not panic. They all held the weapons in their hands and prepared to fight to the death. What a pity! The 3 disciples of Li Xiaoyao were the strongest existences among the ancient giants. Now they are like stray dogs. Fire Cloud Divine King looked down at everyone and said indifferently. These words made Sword Immortal Tsang Tian and the others' faces turn cold. Compared to experts with boundary seeds, they were indeed much weaker. Since you're all here, then kill yourselves. You should know the grudge between me and Lin Ling. It will not end until one of us is dead. Sigh. Chapter 22-29. Are you tired of living? Unless you kill all of us, you can see if anyone will commit suicide. On the island, Ancestor Tai Yin raised his aged face and looked at the sky fearlessly. He was satisfied with his life. Even if he were to die now, he would have no regrets. Hee, if you don't commit suicide, then you will know what a nightmare is. Fire Cloud Divine King nodded and waved his right hand. The experts behind him rushed towards the island. Taoists came. Sword Immortal Firmament, Martial God Yungu, you were all ancient giants. Today, I will let you see how powerful my subordinates are. What was terrifying was that Fire Cloud Divine King's subordinates were all extremely powerful. It was as if Fire Cloud Divine King didn't even need to take action to massacre the entire island. Fight! Within the island, surging battle intent erupted. However, just as everyone was prepared to fight to the death, a cold and resounding voice exploded in the sky above the island like a thunderclap. Want to kill my people? Let's see if you have the ability. This sudden voice undoubtedly shocked the entire island. Countless people looked around and saw a large number of experts flying over from afar like a tornado. The man in the lead was holding a large sword. His long hair danced in the wind, and his cold eyes seemed to be telling everyone that the god of death had arrived. Linger, father, master. When everyone saw the familiar figure, they immediately shouted excitedly. As for Fire Cloud Divine King, he was slightly surprised as he stared at the newcomer. However, soon he sneered. Finally willing to come out? I knew it. You must be hiding somewhere. Unless your son, wife, and grandfather are in danger, you definitely won't dare to show your face. He didn't know that Lin Ling had gone to the martial god realm. He only thought that Lin Ling was afraid of them, so he hid. Of course, this was normal because they had young Master Thousand Face on their side. Unless Lin Ling was stupid, he wouldn't dare to fight force with force. The former #1 genius of the mortal realm can only hide like a stray dog today. Fire Cloud Divine King laughed again, causing the people behind him to laugh as well. And on the island, Ancestor Extreme Flame and the others were nervously staring at Lin Ling. Although they knew that Lin Ling wasn't weak, this pursuit had made them realize that Fire Cloud Godly Monarch's strength had greatly increased. And the most terrifying thing was that there were many powerhouses like Fire Cloud Godly Monarch. Lin Ling, your end has come. I can tell you that this world has changed. With a genius from the martial god realm, you can only decline forever. The Fire Cloud God King spoke out once more. At this moment, he didn't seem to be in a hurry to attack. Perhaps he wanted to see Lin Ling feel a sense of helplessness. The former #1 genius of the mortal world, the reincarnation of Li Xiaoyao. Today, he had also become trash and an ant-like existence. This kind of thing made people feel extremely happy. Haha. Behind Fire Cloud Divine King, the experts laughed even louder. Lin Ling's name shook the world. So to see the latter being trampled on was an extremely rare sight. However, their laughter didn't last long. In the distance, Lin Ling finally appeared on the island. His expression didn't change. In his left hand, the 6 paths of reincarnation surged out violently, turning into white flames that enveloped everyone and crazily burned them. This fire seemed to be Lin Ling's fury. Entering reincarnation is too easy for you. Today I'll scatter your souls. Everyone heard that vicious sentence. Of course, such words couldn't move Fire Cloud Godly Monarch and the others. They didn't believe that Lin Ling had such strength. However, the cold flames that followed let them know that they were about to be burned to death. Not good. What kind of law is this? It can't be broken. This fire can't be extinguished. Moreover, it's burning my soul. Lord Fire Cloud Godly Monarch, save me. The sky was suddenly in chaos. The fire burned everything, as if it wanted to burn the heavens. On the island, everyone's pupils trembled. When did Lin Ling's 6 paths of reincarnation become so strong? It was a law that burned everything. Moreover, they were worried about Lin Ling, thinking that a bloody battle would break out. However, in the next moment, the scene that gave them was that the enemies were all screaming in pain and begging for mercy. All of you die for me. Collect. Lin Ling floated in the sky with a fierce look on his face. His left hand suddenly clenched into a fist. Walala! The dazzling white flames began to shrink. The experts in the fire reincarnation circle were all burned to death. Moreover, the burning was very painful because it reached the soul. Just as an incense stick's time was up, there were only flames floating in the sky. Hundreds of thousands of experts were all burned to death. Most importantly, those experts were at the martial emperor realm. They were existences that could dominate any place. However, here they could only be slaughtered like weeds. This is too fast. Ancestor Extreme Flame opened his mouth wide and looked at the sky in shock. Even Sword Immortal Song Tian and the others were the same. However, they all laughed. Those flames were Lin Ling's anger. Those who touched them would die. Good, you actually killed all my subordinates. Do you know how many treasures I spent to nurture them? At this time, an angry voice rang out. Fire Cloud Divine King did not die. Clearly, he had boundary essence, so he was able to resist the burning of the Yellow Springs flame. Kneel for me. Fire Cloud Divine King roared again. With the boundary essence seed, why would he be afraid of Lin Ling? It's you. Lin Ling's gaze finally looked at him. Without any nonsense, he flew over. Courting death. Fire Cloud Divine King was extremely angry at this moment. When he saw Lin Ling flying over, he immediately attacked. Let me tell you, boundary essence is not something that only you, Lin Ling, have. He pointed out a finger, forming a power that surpassed the laws. He knew that Lin Ling had boundary essence, but he was confident that his boundary essence was stronger. Pa! However, Lin Ling did not retreat or dodge. His palm fiercely grabbed out. As Fire Cloud Divine King sneered, his finger actually exploded. Fire Cloud Divine King's boundary essence seed was like tofu in front of Lin Ling. The smile on Fire Cloud Divine King's face froze. What replaced it was pain and horror. Last time you escaped. This time, you still dare to appear in front of me. Are you tired of living? Lin Ling's voice was extremely cold. His palm once again grabbed out. It was like a hand covering the sky. No one could stop it. At this moment, Fire Cloud Divine King finally knew how terrifying Lin Ling was. This was because he realized that Lin Ling did not have the boundary essence seed. Instead, the seed had already grown. It had probably reached 10% boundary essence. At this moment, he finally knew that no matter how strong he became, he would always be an ant when facing a monster like Lin Ling. Chapter 2230. The Battle of Creation begins. Fire Cloud Divine King shouted anxiously. He knew that Lin Ling was not hiding, but was not in this world. Otherwise, Lin Ling would not be afraid of him. Unfortunately, before he could utter any nonsense, Lin Ling reached out with his large hand and directly tore this ancient great head into two in front of countless people. This cruel and merciless action caused some of the enemies in the distance to tremble. They thought that Fire Cloud Divine King and Lin Ling would have a fierce battle, and that Fire Cloud Divine King would emerge victorious. However, the result was that Lin Ling tore Fire Cloud Divine King, an ancient giant, apart with just a few punches and kicks. This simple and brutal situation made them feel like they were dreaming. Kill them all. Kill. After throwing Fire Cloud Divine King, Lin Ling looked coldly at the enemies in the distant sea. Yes, my lord. Kill. Everyone rushed over, letting the remaining enemies feel the arrival of the Grim Reaper. Lin Ling returned with a torrential downpour. As for Lord Water Mist and the rest, their eyes were filled with killing intent. Sword Immortal Song Tian and the rest also flew out from the island and charged forward. All enemies must die. They knew that even if they killed everyone in the world, Lin Ling would not be merciful because they had touched his reverse scale. Linger. Master. 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 Father. Master. On the island, everyone rushed towards Lin Ling. Their hearts were filled with excitement. This was their pillar of support. No matter what kind of powerful enemy came, there was only one outcome for that powerful enemy, and that was death. Grandfather. Lin Ling flew down from the sky and looked at the old man in the lead. His heart immediately ached. The old man looked at Lin Ling with gratification. However, Lin Ling saw that the sleeve of his right arm was fluttering in the wind. Clearly, the old man's right arm had been cut off. It's fine. I'm already so old. Losing an arm is no big deal. Elder Taiyan smiled and walked forward. He reached out his left arm and stroked the face of the grandson he was most proud of. In the past, when the fake Lin Ling appeared, he issued a large number of orders that violated the rules, such as killing his own people. In the end, Ancestor Extreme Flame couldn't stand it anymore and tried to persuade him. But the result was that one of his arms was cut off. But at that time, he guessed that it wasn't his grandson, because his grandson was not that cruel and heartless. In truth, they weren't very sure when Lin Ling would return from the martial god world. Therefore, when young Master Thousand Faces pretended to be Lin Ling, they didn't suspect anything. This is my real father. Lenny looked at Lin Ling excitedly. In his eyes, his father was still an indomitable warrior, who always had his own principles in his heart. You have grown up. While everyone was still discussing, Lin Ling had already spoken coldly. His words made everyone gasp. However, very quickly, Sword Immortal Song Tian and the others felt their blood boiling. With their pride, they did not want to shake hands and make peace. Revenge begins. Lin Ling's eyes looked into the distance. He clenched his right fist, and the white command flag that was hidden on his body shone brightly at this moment. Lin Ling did not know the background of the Grand Court Commandery. However, in terms of numbers and boundary element, Lin Ling, as the martial god great commander, was not afraid of anyone. Let's rest for a day. Tomorrow, we will kill our way to the Sun Divine Nation. If we see any enemies along the way, kill them without mercy. Lin Ling left these words behind and immediately left. Hearing that, everyone was even more excited. In the house, Lin Ling sensed the boundary element in his dantian, and the confidence in his heart grew stronger. Then he recalled everything that had happened. He could not help but worry about the disappearance of Grandma Wendao. However, Grandma Wendao was someone that he could not see through. Therefore, if there was something that Grandma Wendao could not solve, Lin Ling's worries would be useless. It's time to take back all the stone sculptures. Sitting there quietly, Lin Ling's eyes grew colder and colder. At the same time, the news of Lin Ling's return spread across the various regions. What? The real and fake Lin Ling? And the real Lin Ling came back and slaughtered the fake one? That's too amazing. This is nothing. Lin Ling has issued an order. The battle of creation has begun, and he wants to clear the place. That's crazy enough. Could it be that the Sun God King and the other ancient giants are going to die? I'm looking forward to it. Chapter 2231. Coming to collect a debt, Fire Cloud Divine King was killed? And one of young Master Thousand Faces' doppelgangers was also destroyed? This Lin Ling is too arrogant. He's just courting death. Young Master Thousand Face is also rushing over from 10,000 realms. This Lin Ling can defeat young Master Thousand Face. I'm afraid he has converted 10% of his boundary essence. However, young Master Thousand Face's boundary essence is not just 10%. He still has 7 doppelgangers. Young Master Thousand Face comes from Grand Court Commandery of the Martial God Realms Qing Province. His talent is the mysterious Xian body, myriad metal king physique. If not for the fact that his boundary essence was not successfully converted, his talent would have been able to fuse with it long ago. However, the Sun God King and the others were not too worried. With young Master Thousand Face around, they were not afraid of Lin Ling at all. They even believed that Lin Ling was just trying to show off. He did not dare to come to them. At this moment in the demon domain, the Crystal Master of the Devil Nation and the 400 million Great Demon King had also received the news. However, they had comprehended the boundary essence seed. They thought that even if they could not kill Lin Ling, if the two of them joined forces, Lin Ling would not be able to kill them. Moreover, they believed that Lin Ling would die in the hands of young Master Thousand Face. Therefore, they were now thinking of unifying the demon domain and preparing to kill the Great Demon King of the East and Great Demon King Guhai. However, on the day their army was mobilized, Lin Ling also arrived. To Lin Ling, he would not let any of the ancient giants go. This debt collection would start from today, until he killed his way into the godly nation. At this moment, the true martial realm was like a dream mountain. This place had already become the symbol of the true martial realm. At the foot of the snowy mountain, a large number of demon armies were gathered there. If one looked carefully, the army was led by a giant that was as tall as a mountain. The giant was sitting on a golden blade, as if he was indomitable. This person was the great demon king of the east. On the other side was a bewitching woman. She was the great demon king Guhai. Now that the demon race was about to unify, the two great demon kings joined forces to resist the crystal master of the devil nation. My lord, the crystal master of the devil nation, and the 400 million great demon king Guhai. At this time, the beast drum sounded, shaking the heaven and earth. You're here? The great demon king of the east stood up. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Great demon king Guhai narrowed his pretty eyes as well. The war of the demon race was about to begin. In the distance, it was as if the heavens were falling and the earth was splitting apart. All the great devils were rushing over in a grandiose manner. At a glance, the army was actually endless, as if there was no end to it. This was a bloody battle, and it could be said to be the most intense bloody battle in the history of the demon race. All the demons were ready for a bloody battle. However, the army in the distance suddenly stopped, and two figures floated out. A war between armies won't change the unification of the infernal domain. Why don't we have a war between infernal kings? The two massive figures strolled towards Dreamlike Mountain. They were the Demon Kingdom's Crystal Master and Demon King. How dare you? On the side of the great Demon King of the East, the army roared angrily, forming a huge aura, rushing towards the sky. Shut up! However, the Devil Kingdom's Crystal Master let out a cold roar. His aura suppressed the army like a giant hand, making it difficult for the army to breathe. This action undoubtedly caused his soldiers to cheer and raise their morale. All right, then let's have a war between infernal kings. The great demon king of the east pondered for a while, and immediately said in a low voice. There were also benefits to having a war between infernal kings, and that was that his people would not suffer too many casualties. My lord, you can't. At this moment, a large number of voices came from the army. One of them even flew up. It was Lin Ling's elder brother Gu Zhantian. Right now, the Demon Kingdom's Crystal Master and 400 million Great Devil Kings have boundary origin seeds. A war between infernal kings is disadvantageous to us. Why don't we have a war between the two armies? Gu Zhantian knelt down in the sky and said. In fact, the Great Demon King of the East and Demon King Guhai also knew this point. However, a war between armies would only increase the casualties. A war between infernal kings is unavoidable. You all can just watch from the side. If we lose, you all can disperse. The great demon king of the east sighed softly and stepped forward, walking towards the sky. My lord, the army below him all knelt down, as if they had seen the departure of the demon king and the unification of the infernal domain. As for Demon King Guhai, he frowned and also walked towards the sky. She knew that this war was unavoidable. Unify the infernal domain. Unify the infernal domain. Compared to the solemn aura of the great demon king of the east, the crystal master of the devil nation's army let out a deafening roar. And their morale was even more majestic. This made the 400 million great demon kings and the crystal master of the devil nation laugh coldly. Their brows twitched, and a formless aura spread out, causing the infernal domain to shake. It felt as if the heavens were angry, and the entire domain was shaking. It was the power of realm essence. The great demon king of the east and demon king Guhai immediately let out a groan, and their footsteps paused. They could feel that the world in front of them had changed, forming a powerful domain that made it difficult for them to take another step forward. This made their hearts tremble. Was the power of realm essence really that strong? The war between infernal kings hasn't even started yet, and you all don't dare to fight? Seeing the solemn expression of the great demon king of the east and the others, the crystal master of the devil nation mocked. Haha, the great demon king of the east is afraid of my lord. He doesn't even have the courage to approach my lord. He can only submit to my lord. My lord's power of realm essence. Who else but him can compare to my lord's power of realm essence in this world? At the same time, more voices rang out. Countless gazes were fixed on the crystal master of the devil nation. There was only worship in their eyes. In the past, the 5 great demon kings of the infernal domain were evenly matched, and no one could shake the other. However, the great demon king of the east had already declined, and could only be compared to the lowly demon race. He couldn't even stand shoulder to shoulder with the crystal master of the devil nation. One side was full of vigor, and the other side was naturally weak. The soldiers of the great demon king of the east all looked gloomy at this moment. Their great demon king of the east had already fallen into a disadvantageous position from the start of the war between the demon kings. In a war between the kings, if their aura was weak, how could they fight? Moreover, the crystal master of the devil nation and the others were clearly humiliating the great demon king of the east on purpose. This seed of realm essence is really powerful. The ancient giants of the past are like ants in front of us now. At this moment, the crystal master of the devil nation and the others were enjoying the carefree feeling. Moreover, they kept increasing the aura of the realm essence, wanting to make the great demon king of the east and the others kneel down. However, at this moment, a mysterious aura drifted over like smoke, and it actually blew away the oppressive domain in the sky. The great demon king of the east's expression changed. The pressure had disappeared. Even the crystal master of the devil nation and the others frowned. A mysterious power had appeared in front of them, causing the aura of their realm essence to disappear without a trace. At the same time, a black-robed figure quietly appeared in the sky. His appearance came without any warning, as if he had always existed in the sky, and his appearance and the ancient sword on his back. All of this caused the infernal domain to fall silent. Chapter 2232. Fear. Lin Ling. At this moment, the entire true martial realm was filled with shocked voices. Second brother. Gu Zhantian looked at Lin Ling excitedly. Of course, the Eastern Demon King and the rest were the same. In fact, they had also received news that Lin Ling seemed to have surfaced. However, they never expected that in such a short period of time, Lin Ling would appear in the devil domain. Lin Ling. Compared to the surprise of the Eastern Demon King and the rest, the Crystal Master and the 400 million Demon Kings were unhappy. Why would Lin Ling appear here? I'm here. At this moment, Lin Ling looked at the Eastern Demon King and the other two with a faint smile, causing them to smile as well. Lin Ling then looked at his elder brother, Gu Zhantian, which made Gu Zhantian extremely excited. In his heart, his second brother Lin Ling was already an indomitable expert. However, when he saw that the true spirit realm was almost massacred by a strong enemy, Lin Ling appeared again. That feeling was still very shocking. Lord Lin Ling. Lin Ling's appearance was like an invisible flame burning, causing the morale of the Eastern Demon King's side to rise even higher. In their hearts, Lord Lin Ling was already at the level of a demon god. Now that he was here, he could definitely change everything. Lin Ling, this is a battle of our devil domain. Why are you a human interfering? Get lost. At this moment, an angry voice rang out from the Crystal Master's army. It was a middle-aged man wearing a white robe with fox ears. This person seemed to be the strategist of the army. Shouldn't you be in the godly nation right now? You, a human, interfering in the matters of the devil domain. Don't you feel embarrassed? Moreover, Eastern Demon King Gu Hai, do you still have any shame? Letting a human interfere. This is simply throwing away the pride of the devil race. The middle-aged man waved his hand, causing the army to let out a cry of shock. Lin Ling, get lost. Great Demon King of the East, if you're still a demon fighter, tell Lin Ling to fuck off. Dong dong dong. In front of them, war drums were beating and flags were waving in the wind. Tens of millions of soldiers were reprimanding Lin Ling, trying to make Lin Ling retreat. Seeing this, the Devil Nation's Crystal Master and Crystal Master laughed. They were surprised by Lin Ling's arrival, but when they thought about how Lin Ling shouldn't be able to kill them, they weren't in a hurry. Although Lin Ling is a human, He is also a hero of our demon race. How could he be an outsider? Hearing the other party telling Lin Ling to scram, many warriors on the Great Eastern Demon King's side also roared in anger. For a moment, the auras of the two armies collided, forming a terrifying aura tornado in the sky. The Great Eastern Demon King looked at Lin Ling. He wanted to tell Lin Ling not to care about what those people said. Chapter 2237. To kill with a single stroke, not bad, full confidence. Young Master Thousand Faces shouted coldly. Then I'll say it too. I'm 100% confident that I can kill you. Lin Ling finally unleashed his killing intent. The sword in his hand glowed with resplendent light. Boundary energy enveloped the sword, and its aura was extremely sharp. On the other side, young Master Thousand Faces also erupted with boundary essence, forming a scene of heaven and earth collapsing. Seeing that the great battle was about to begin, the crowd held their breaths. They became even more nervous and expectant. Young Master Thousand Faces from Grand Court Commandery. Why is he here in the North Territory? At this moment, in a distant place, several figures stood in the void, watching the battle on the ground. There were 4 of them, a middle-aged man, an old man, and a slightly cold woman. All 3 of them possessed unfathomable strength, because they could enter the path of the martial god at will. I didn't expect that young Master Thousand Faces would come to the North Territory. The woman's eyes flickered. This young Master Thousand Faces possesses the Myriad Metal King body. He's currently training in the Myriad Worlds with the goal of entering the Tsongling Academy. So it's not strange for him to appear here. The old man among them smiled faintly and said, Miss Rosa, you and young Master Thousand Face are both successors of the 4 upper commanderies. Your goal is also the 3 academies. Therefore, you should take a good look at young Master Thousand Face's battle, and see the gap between you two. Uncle Luo, I will. The cold woman nodded slightly, and her right hand tightened her grip on the sword. The descendants of the 4 upper commanderies of Qingzhou were all exceptional. She knew that Tang Yue from Square Commandery had entered the Martial Gods Battalion, and even became the commander of the Federation. She wanted to use the Martial Gods Battalion as a springboard to enter the 3 academies. She was confident that she was not weaker than Tang Yue. She would definitely succeed. As for young Master Thousand Faces, there was no need to mention him. This person was extremely famous in the 4 upper commanderies, and his strength was something that even she had to look up to. Who is that kid? He actually dares to fight young Master Thousand Faces. His courage is not bad. At this time, one of the middle-aged men said, He just a sparring partner. However, for someone in the north to comprehend realm essence, it is worthy of praise. The old man shook his head and laughed. From his words, it was clear that he did not think highly of Lin Ling. Rosa, pay more attention to young Master Thousand Faces. See how he uses his boundary essence. Moreover, if you can fuse your boundary essence with your innate talent, entering the 3 great academies won't be a problem for you. The old man said again. The cold woman immediately nodded. Inside the nation of God, 2 figures were clashing with each other. It was getting scarier and scarier. It was like 2 worlds were colliding. You're from Tating Commandery, but you don't even dare to attack. I feel ashamed for your Tating Commandery. However, if you don't attack, I'll attack first. But soon Lin Ling raised his sword. His boundary essence roared like a bolt of thunder, causing his huge sword to be surrounded by lightning snakes that bared their fangs and brandished their claws. He pounced over. He didn't use any laws, just pure realm essence. That was because only Jie Yuan could injure someone as strong as young Master Thousand Face. Rumble. That sword strike seemed to have extracted the power of an entire world. Ignorant child, how dare you speak such arrogant words? Seeing that Lin Ling attacked first, young Master Thousand Face shouted coldly. A pure silver earring appeared in his hand and kept enlarging. It was as if he was holding a moon ring. A large amount of boundary essence shot out like thousands of arrows towards Lin Ling. Last time, you were just lucky to win. You only have more than 10% of your boundary essence. I've seen many experts like you. Shoo. Shoo! The arrow-like boundary essence shot towards Lin Ling like meteors. Pure silver earring. In the void, the cold woman's expression suddenly changed. It seems that Tating Commandery is very generous to give such a treasure to young Master Thousand Face. That immortal weapon isn't weak. It can increase the user's control over their boundary essence. Rosa, remember, if everyone has the same boundary essence, then the control will determine the outcome. The old man didn't forget to remind the woman. He then sighed. It's a pity that the opponent is too weak. It's hard to see through young Master Thousand Face's strength in this battle. Hearing that, the woman also nodded in agreement. At this moment, the sky was filled with boundary essence, causing the sky of the godly kingdom to darken. Break! Facing the arrow-like boundary essence, Lin Ling tightened his grip on the sword in his hand. He swung the sword and cut off all means of retreat. Boom! 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 The boundary essence that approached Lin Ling were all cut apart. Although there are more boundary essence scattered, its power is also weaker. Lin Ling shouted coldly. At the same time, young Master Thousand Face frowned. However, at this moment, a dazzling sword light passed through the arrow-like boundary essence and slashed fiercely. Moreover, it kept enlarging in his eyes, causing young Master Thousand Face's eyes to be filled with shock. At this moment, he roared and raised the pure silver earring in front of him. He also activated all his boundary essence in an attempt to block the sword. In the sky, the old man cried out in surprise. Boundary essence release. As for the cold-looking woman, her eyes narrowed. That was because releasing boundary essence meant that boundary essence would break out of one's body and increase the attack range. She had just reached this level of cultivation. However, this unknown young man had succeeded in doing so. Of course, they weren't the only ones who were surprised. Young Master Thousand Face was surprised as well. This allowed him to realize that Lin Ling hadn't used his full strength in the last battle with Lin Ling. However, what surprised him was yet to come. When the sword collided with his pure silver earring, the ring emitted a clear sound. In the next moment, the pure silver earring shattered. In the next moment, Lin Ling's sword didn't stop slashing. It passed by young Master Thousand Face's neck and directly cut off his head. 20% of boundary essence. Young Master Thousand Face let out a sharp cry at practically the same moment his head was cut off. The shock in his voice was even stronger, because as far as he was concerned, Lin Ling had only surpassed 10% of boundary essence. Who knew that Lin Ling actually possessed 20% of boundary essence? This had exceeded his expectations once again. As for the few people in the sky in the distance, they were completely silent at this moment. They originally thought that Lin Ling was just a sparring partner. Who would have thought that young Master Thousand Face would be killed with a single strike? Wasn't this a little too fast? Master, that young man doesn't seem to be simple. The woman called Rosa spoke solemnly. He really can't be underestimated. Unfortunately, he encountered young Master Thousand Face. He's still going to fall in the end. The old man shook his head. Although he was surprised by Lin Ling's strength, he still knew that Lin Ling wasn't a match for young Master Thousand Face. As for the middle-aged man beside him, he snorted coldly and said, "Humph. How audacious." That country bumpkin crippled one of young Master Thousand Face's clones. He's simply courting death by offending Grand Court County. Luo Tian, don't be impatient. Young Master Thousand Face can deal with it himself. The old man said. At this moment, everyone in the Sun God Nation exclaimed in surprise. One strike. Lin Ling actually killed young Master Thousand Face with one strike. This was too fast. His clones came one after another, and could only be killed one by one. If young Master Thousand Faces combined his 8 clones, then Lin Ling would have to dodge the attack. However, next would be the strongest battle. Lin Ling was looking forward to it, because he also wanted to test out his black sword record. Boom! Not long after, the void exploded. 5 figures walked out of the void at the same time. These 5 people were wearing the same clothes. It was young Master Thousand Faces. This time, young Master Thousand Faces had gathered all his clones. Moreover, after he appeared, he did not say a word. He directly merged his clones. He wanted to use his new strength to kill Lin Ling. Now, not only was he furious, but he had also lost his mind. A mouse destroyed a nest of soup. Lin Ling, damn it. 5 clones. I'm afraid he can merge 50% of his realm essence. What a pity. If young Master Thousand Faces did not underestimate his opponent, he would not have wasted 20% of his realm essence. The battle is over. In the void, the few people shook their heads. In fact, until now, they still did not think that Lin Ling could survive. However, Lin Ling had cut down 2 of young Master Thousand Faces' clones. This was enough to be proud of. Where did this junior come from? Why is he so powerful? Rosa was a little surprised. She was a little sad because Lin Ling's strength was not weaker than hers. She came from the 4 great commanderies, but Lin Ling was just a nobody. You don't have to feel inferior. A dead genius is no longer a genius. The old man sensed Rosa's thoughts and immediately shouted coldly. In fact, he was a little angry, because that ant-like existence was actually stronger than Rosa. Why? However, he soon stopped worrying, because Lin Ling was definitely going to die. Lin Ling, very good. Very good. At the same time, the golden light in the sky shone brightly. A figure that seemed to be formed by metal quietly appeared, and kept changing. Gradually, it turned into young Master Thousand Faces' appearance. At this moment, his aura changed and became calm. He stretched out his right hand. His arm was actually formed by metal. If one looked carefully, there were many golden mountains, seas, and cities carved on his arm. Lin Ling's eyes turned red, and he continued to use his sword to resist the golden compass. However, in his mind, the martial arts from the sword realm quietly floated. The sword realm, the realm of thousands of swords, was the home of swords. There were countless martial arts of swords there. And the realm origin of swords was the birthplace of swords. 10 years of sharpening a sword. Sword cultivators had to endure the boredom and sharpen their swords day by day. Only then would they know the birth of swords and the world of swords. If you dare to touch them, I will tear you into pieces. Lin Ling's angry roar also floated out at this moment. His sword kept resisting the golden compass. But no one saw that the realm origin in his sword was also increasing crazily. That kind of feeling was like sharpening a sword day by day. And the moment the sword was drawn out, ghosts and gods would weep. Haha, you are angry. I like to see you angry, but this is not enough. Those are your subordinates, right? Don't worry, I want all of them to die. Are there 100 million people here? Or 10 billion people? They will all die because of you. Children, old people, women, I will not let them go. Regret it, be afraid. The great calamity of the world is about to begin. The deranged voice sounded as if it was the mandate of heaven, causing everyone's expression to change drastically. As for the Sun God King and the others, they were incomparably excited. That's right, kill them all, don't leave a single one alive, and destroy this realm. Crazy. These people were crazy. And they actually wanted to destroy this realm. Even Rosa frowned in the void. This is too much of a massacre. They're just ants. Don't mind them. Rosa, you only need to know that these ants are born to serve the martial god world. If their deaths can allow you to convert more world essence, that's their fortune. The old man said expressionlessly. Rosa wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she fell silent. Lin Ling was still smiling, but his smile was even more evil. Young Master Thousand Faces was naturally infuriated, but he was truly helpless against Lin Ling. One could imagine how he felt. In reality, I was only playing with you before because this is my first time cultivating the realm origin martial arts. So I needed a sparring partner. Lin Ling arrived in front of young Master Thousand Faces and stepped on his head. This action was undoubtedly a thick humiliation to young Master Thousand Faces. However, although the humiliation was terrifying, Lin Ling's words shocked him even more. This was because Lin Ling had actually treated him as a sparring partner. He was young Master Thousand Faces. When had he ever been a sparring partner for an ant in the countryside? Even the faces of the few people in the void changed drastically. This guy was crazy. He was actually comprehending the martial arts just now. He's from Tating Commandery. Do you want the entire commandery to be destroyed by killing him? The old man couldn't take it anymore. and finally walked out from the void. Although young Master Thousand Faces wasn't from Tating Commandery, his background wasn't small either. Therefore, if he could help, he would be indebted to him. Woo! 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 The old man's appearance was first accompanied by a cloud of sand, as if he was the king of the sand world. The crowd was shocked. Another expert had appeared. Lin Ling wasn't surprised at all. I thought you were just here to watch the show. In the end, you still came out. Hearing this, the eyes of the old man and the others flickered. That junior actually knew they were here? They thought that the junior would be very surprised by their appearance. I'm Luo Yunquan. I'm from Tating Commandery. The old man floated in the sky and said slowly, Don't talk nonsense. What's your purpose here? However, Lin Ling didn't give any face. He didn't even bother to know the name of the person who had come. At this moment, the few people were furious, especially the cold woman Rosa. She reminded, Your Excellency, Tating Commandery is one of the 4 great commanderies in Qingzhou. You've already offended Tating Commandery. Do you want to offend Tating Commandery as well? Let me remind you, any expert from there can destroy this world if they come here. Ha! Ha ha! This young Master Thousand Faces said the same thing. But now, hearing this, Lin Ling smiled coldly. His words made the faces of the few people freeze. In fact, they also thought that young Master Thousand Faces could destroy this world. However, what was the result? Young Master Thousand Faces was being stepped on by someone else. So tell me your purpose, Lin Ling said again. This attitude was undoubtedly ignoring them. The anger in the few people's hearts grew stronger and stronger. Lin Ling didn't give them any face. Of course, they didn't expect that this matter had nothing to do with them. They rashly interfered. These people were all people who had comprehended the world essence. Most importantly, there were too many of them. Moreover, Rosa recognized some of them. This was because they were the local geniuses of the Martial God Battalion. If these people appeared in the northern land, at least 80% of the places would be unable to stop their iron hooves. Dong dong dong. As the army entered the world, the war drums began to beat. Looking around, it was a magnificent army with thousands of soldiers and horses. The sound was deafening. Compared to them, the army of Xianping province in the distance was simply like a child. Could it be that they were summoned by this flag? Luo Yunquan was no fool, and he'd faintly guessed something. This meant that he hadn't obtained a treasure, but a hot potato. After all, even though the banner had summoned a huge army, he wasn't a member of the Martial Gods Battalion. So he directly offended the Martial Gods Battalion. In between fear and anxiety, the flag in his hand almost fell to the ground. How dare you? You dare to throw the flag of the Martial God Battalion's Grand Commander to the ground? That's blasphemy to the Martial God Battalion. Lin Ling directly roared. Thump. Luo Yunquan and the others trembled in their hearts. How could they dare to throw away such a hot potato? As for young Master Thousand Face, he also stared at the sky in disbelief. He hadn't expected that the guy he was fighting with was actually the Grand Commander of the Martial God Battalion. Impudent. At this moment, a furious roar resounded from the army. A man in black armor walked out majestically at this moment. Even Lin Ling was surprised to see him. His strength was also at the Realm Lord level. With every step he took, the world shook. What powerful strength! Chapter 2243. The reverse scale can't be touched. I'm Grand Commander Huang Qi of the Martial God Battalion. The black-armored man spoke in an icy cold voice. Thump. Luo Yunquan's heart felt as if it had been struck by lightning. This was a real Grand Commander, Even though he was from Solitude Commandery, and was an extraordinary existence in Pine Prefecture. Was there anyone in Pine Prefecture who didn't know how difficult it was to deal with the Martial God Battalion? It could be said that even if Grand Commander Huang Qi killed him, Solitude Commandery wouldn't fight the Martial God Battalion for him. After all, Luo Yunquan didn't have such qualifications. As for fighting force with force, that was even more impossible. Not to mention the army and the surroundings. Just Grand Commander Huang Qi alone could annihilate him. How presumptuous of you. You actually dared to seize the flag of our Martial God Battalion. Grand Commander Huang Qi roared furiously. His black armor was awe-inspiring, and he was like the king of the army. Seize! Luo Yunquan opened his mouth wide and was unable to speak. He hadn't seized the flag, and it was Lin Ling who tossed it to him. Do you know what crime it is to seize a flag in the martial god battalion? Grand Commander Huang Qi spoke furiously once more. Spare me. Please spare me, Grand Commander. We didn't know that it was a flag. Ignorance isn't a crime. Luo Yunquan almost wanted to slap himself, and he hurriedly offered up the white flag with both hands. However, Grand Commander Huang Qi grunted coldly. I don't dare accept this flag. Luo Yunquan immediately gazed at Lin Ling, and Lin Ling gazed indifferently at him and said, Didn't you take a liking to this treasure? Why don't you want it now that I'm giving it to you? I don't dare accept it. I don't dare accept it. Luo Yunquan's voice carried a sobbing tone as he walked over to Lin Ling and offered up the flag with both hands. The white flag was like the imperial jade seal of the empire, and it could summon an army to attack. However, if it was used by someone other than the emperor, then it would be a crime of deceiving the emperor. How could Luo Yunquan not know this principle? Didn't you want to kill me? Lin Ling spoke once more. How could I dare? My lord, everything from before was a misunderstanding. Young Master Thousand Face deserves death. He deserves it. Luo Yunquan hurriedly flattered because he knew that if he died here, the commandery wouldn't care about him. He would have died in vain. Lin Ling glanced at Chief Commander Huang Qi and saw the look in his eyes. Only then did he say, This matter can be settled privately. Hand over 50,000 divinity crystals as the cost of mobilizing the army, and then you can get lost. 50,000? Luo Yunquan's pupils shrank. After all, the martial god battalion had only rewarded Lin Ling with 3,000 divine crystals after he became a grand commander. Yet 50,000 divine crystals was clearly an unimaginable compensation. He suddenly regretted it. Previously, Lin Ling had asked him to scram, but he didn't. Now that he wanted to scram, it was obviously too late. Moreover, the idea of military expenditure was too shameless, because even if he didn't make a move, Lin Ling's army would still come. Therefore, he was basically giving money away. And this was also an unexpected calamity. What? If you think it's too little, then make it 80,000. I don't like to ask for too much. Lin Ling said again. 50,000 it is. 80,000 it is. I don't want it. I can't afford it even if you buy my old bones. Luo Yunquan hurriedly waved his hand and said, However, I only have 10,000 divine crystals on me now. Can I write an IOU for the remaining 40,000? Sure, but you'll have to collect interest. If you don't pay, you'll have to pay an additional 1,000 divine crystals every month. Lin Ling nodded his head and said with an open mind. Of course, Luo Yunquan didn't think this was leniency. He even thought that Lin Ling was asking for too much. Of course, he only thought about it in his heart. He didn't dare to say it out loud. Even if he had to pay a huge price, he could only brace himself and be slaughtered. After that, he hurriedly asked the others to gather the money and swear a blood oath. When a jade slip fell into Lin Ling's hand, he was surprised. With his current knowledge and strength, he naturally didn't know what a blood oath was. A blood oath was an oath made with one's body and boundary essence. If the oath wasn't completed, then a heart demon would be left behind on the path of martial arts. Moreover, it would appear in the boundary essence, making it difficult for the cultivator to take another step forward. This thing can count, right? Lin Ling said as he waved the jade slip. His words caused Luo Yunquan and the others to nearly vomit blood. They owed a huge debt, yet this youth still doubted them. It's fine. You can tell them to scram. Great Commander Huang Qi said with a smile. His words caused Lin Ling to feel relieved. Thank you, lords, for not killing us. Luo Yunquan and the others didn't dare to stay any longer. They wished they could immediately fly away. Now they could only admit that they were unlucky. Even when they stepped onto the path of martial god, the crisp sound of slapping rang out. They were slapping their own faces and cursing. Idiots! After Lin Ling put away the jade slip, he coldly looked down at his feet. Young Master Thousand Faces' pupils constricted fiercely as he immediately shouted, Lord Lin Ling, I have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please be magnanimous and spare my life. I swear that I will never step into this world. Even Luo Yunquan and the others had been extorted. Young Master Thousand Faces didn't dare to be arrogant. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate, an extremely hard iron plate. It was no wonder that Lin Ling was extremely calm during the battle with him. It turned out that no matter the outcome of the battle, he couldn't escape from Lin Ling's palm. You've disappointed me. I thought you were a character, but in the end, you're just a piece of trash. Lin Ling shook his head. If young Master Thousand Faces didn't beg for mercy, Lin Ling would have praised him. Unfortunately, young Master Thousand Faces had directly begged for mercy. This made him extremely despise him. I'm just a piece of trash, a piece of trash. Lord Lin Ling, I shouldn't have come to your territory. If you want to kill the Sun God Monarch and the others, go ahead and kill them. I beg you, let me go. I swear that I will never step into this place. Young Master Thousand Faces begged for mercy again. Although this was extremely embarrassing, his life was obviously more important. In the distance, the Sun God Monarch and the others knelt on the ground. Their faces were filled with confusion and dejection. The existence they looked up to had betrayed them. Hee, once an oath is made, it can never be violated. According to this, you will fulfill your promise, and I do intend to let you go. Lin Ling looked down at the head on the ground, causing young Master Thousand Faces' eyes to light up. But in the next moment, Lin Ling raised his sword. Unfortunately, you cut off my grandfather's arm. This enmity must be avenged. The sword, accompanied by Lin Ling's cold voice, ruthlessly stabbed down, piercing through young Master Thousand Faces' head. When one's reverse scale was touched, even begging for mercy was useless. As for young Master Thousand Faces, his eyes were wide open in death. If he had known that he would destroy his 8 avatars or even die here, he wouldn't have come here even if he was beaten to death. He's dead. It's all over. When everyone saw young Master Thousand Faces die, they immediately became excited. The battle of creation was finally over. The master of this world had also appeared. It was their lord Lin Ling. Pa. At this moment, Lin Ling strode towards the Sun God Monarch and the others. The Sun God Monarch and the others couldn't summon any desire to fight. Not to mention whether they could defeat Lin Ling. Even if they could, would they be able to escape that terrifying army? They suddenly remembered that Lin Ling hadn't disappeared during this period of time. He hadn't escaped, but had gone to the martial god world to raise his strength and raise his terrifying forces. Why hadn't they thought of this? Lin Ling, this enemy, had always acted in an unconventional manner. How could he wait to be captured? However, not many people knew Li Xiaoyao. But when it came to ghost geniuses, many people had heard of them. This was because Li Xiaoyao was one of the most dazzling geniuses in the martial god world in recent years. His rise was short, but his strength was unfathomable. Moreover, he had reached the level of a monster in every major domain. This made many old monsters in the martial god world curious about how a ghost genius could rise so quickly. Unfortunately, no one knew this secret. Now, after Lin Ling saw Li Xiaoyao's memories in the martial god world, he naturally understood. It was the primal chaos divine formula. This was a mysterious cultivation technique that Li Xiaoyao had obtained by luck in a secret realm. With this cultivation technique, Li Xiaoyao had risen like a comet. And this cultivation technique was for the cultivation of the supreme chaotic body. This talent seemed to be the strongest talent in the martial god world. The prerequisite for cultivating it was to cultivate essence, energy, and spirit. In the past, after Li Xiaoyao had obtained the primal chaos divine formula, he had immediately cultivated according to the direction of the cultivation technique. Therefore, he had seized the god-eye demonic eyes from various experts and used it to increase his soul power. Moreover, the resources and time required to cultivate essence, energy, and spirit were too much. Therefore, Li Xiaoyao had seized the space-time divine steel. The space-time divine steel was one of the 9 great divine steels in the 9 prefectures. It was extraordinarily powerful and could freeze the time of a world. Its offensive power was extremely terrifying. However, it required one to cultivate essence, energy, and spirit to activate it. With the god-eye demonic eyes in his left eye, and the space-time divine steel in his right eye, Li Xiaoyao's cultivation path was obviously not that troublesome. He only needed to continuously increase his physical strength and talent. Chapter 2245. Li Xiaoyao's memories. However, when Li Xiaoyao first rose to fame, he met a pair of siblings. At that time, Li Xiaoyao had just finished a battle with his enemy. Although he killed his enemy, he was also bitten by the enemy's strength before he died. At that time, he was seriously injured. He fell by a small river outside of a quiet valley. That valley was very beautiful, with birds chirping and flowers fragrant, isolated from the outside world. There were 3 people living in the valley, an old man, and a pair of siblings. The sister saw the heavily injured Li Xiaoyao by the river. She called her brother, and brought Li Xiaoyao back and took good care of him. The 3 of them were very simple and kind, which warmed the cold-blooded Li Xiaoyao's heart. Perhaps because he had fought too many battles, he cherished these peaceful days. As time went by, Li Xiaoyao's strength gradually recovered. However, one day, the brother went out hunting, and was seriously injured, almost dying. Luckily, Li Xiaoyao's strength recovered a little, and he was able to save him. Li Xiaoyao saw that the 3 of them had no strength, so he taught them martial arts in order to repay their kindness. Moreover, under the guidance of Li Xiaoyao, the simple girl was also attracted by Li Xiaoyao's beauty and secretly revealed her love for him. As for Li Xiaoyao, he also liked this innocent girl very much. Therefore, under the guidance of Li Xiaoyao, he gradually revealed some of the cultivation methods of the chaos formula. As a result, the strength of the 4 people in the valley greatly increased, and they were no longer afraid of the attacks of wild beasts. Until one day, when an outsider passed by and saw the 4 people in the valley, he was immediately shocked by their talents and greedily wanted to steal them. At that time, Li Xiaoyao did not make a move. Instead, the other 3 people made a move. At that time, they realized how powerful they were. The feeling of being in control, the feeling of having the enemy begging for mercy, the feeling of being above others, was undoubtedly the first time the 3 of them experienced it. They gradually fell in love with this feeling. They suggested to leave the valley. Although Li Xiaoyao felt that it was inappropriate, he still owed them a life, so he agreed to it. The 4 of them were like dragons flying in the sky. After they were born, they crazily swept through the 9 prefectures. They became the most dazzling stars. They were also worshipped by millions of people. Unfortunately, at that time, a seed had sprouted in their hearts. They were too familiar with Li Xiaoyao and knew everything about him. However, they only knew the beginning of the primal chaos godly formula. They were unwilling to accept this, and thought that Li Xiaoyao was too selfish. After all, everyone had gone through trials and tribulations together. Why would Li Xiaoyao hide the chaos formula? Although he gave us a large amount of cultivation resources, and taught us many martial arts, he didn't tell us about the most important primal chaos divine formula. He was wary of us. Alas, people are selfish. We treated him like family, but his actions chilled our hearts. Tian Lili said again. She looked pure, but her eyes were filled with a fiery light that was unwilling to be inferior to others. The chaos divine skill belongs to him. He has no obligation to let us know about it. Tian Yinlin couldn't bear it. So he hid it from us? Father, you are too kind. We don't want to harm others, but we can't let our guard down. Tian Wengu advised. Indeed, we can't let our guard down. Li Xiaoyao grew up alone in the martial god realm, and reached his current height. His hands are stained with blood. He is not a good person. Tian Yinlin was finally convinced. Why don't we ask him for the chaos divine skill? Tian Lili suddenly smiled and said. Her eyes were burning with anger. Hearing this, the 2 of them fell silent. Tian Wengu frowned and said, given his stingy character, he won't tell us. Since the soft approach doesn't work, we have to do it the hard way. Tian Lili was still smiling, but her smile was cold. Lili, don't act recklessly. Hearing this, Tian Yinlin's face changed. Don't worry, we are not killing him. We are just protecting ourselves. If he is sincere to us, he will definitely tell us. If he is still selfish, we will force him to do it. I know that he is cultivating the heavenly silkworm godly thunder during this period of time. At that time, he will be at his weakest. Tian Lioli said as she played with the hair beside her ear. Is his talent going to improve again? What a freak. Chapter 2250. Military Salute. That young man is called Ling Wulai. He is the strongest among the fleet commanders, who are in charge of the martial god's spaceship. Danran Ferry seemed to know more than Lin Ling's scoundrel Ling. Lin Ling almost burst out laughing. What an artistic name. Their voices were so low that Ling Wulai did not hear them. He said slowly, in this mission, all the geniuses from various realms have become commanders. However, someone has become a senior commander. There must be something fishy going on. Obviously, he was jealous of Lin Ling. In his opinion, Lin Ling was at the same realm as him. Jie Yuan might not be as strong as him. How could he become a senior commander? Among the scouts, only Falling Flowers, Flowing Water Sword and D by Mo can make me change my mind. They are the only ones who are worthy of being my opponents in the Divine List arena. Ling Wulai said lazily. Your Excellency is mighty. Many soldiers cheered. They were fleet commanders, so they naturally sided with their commanders. Lin Ling shook his head and smiled. He was not as strong as Falling Flowers, Flowing Water Sword, and D by Mo. Ling Wulai had a pair of dog eyes. However, Su Mo did not bother to explain. In the military camp, strength was everything. Let's meet on the Divine List. Lin Ling's silence made Ling Wulai think that Lin Ling was guilty. Even Falling Flowers, Flowing Water Sword and D by Mo thought so. However, Lin Ling was looking at another person. This person was more low-key. He was wearing gray armor and was resting with his eyes closed. However, when Lin Ling looked at him, the person opened his eyes and stared at Lin Ling. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. It's the cavalry commander. Many people noticed Lin Ling's gaze, and their expressions changed. This was because they didn't notice the arrival of the army lord. His cultivation was unfathomable. Even Ling Wulai and D by Mo did not know that the commander was behind them. The commander is the strongest of the cavalry commanders. It is said that he is from the Flying Dragon Organization. Flying Dragon Organization? That most mysterious assassin organization. Many people whispered to each other. They were both in awe and fear of the army monarch. Your commander Lin Ling? At this moment, the commander of the army lord said indifferently. That's me. Lin Ling replied calmly. That's right. I heard that you killed young Master Thousand Faces. Your strength is not bad. The Junjun commander looked deeply at Lin Ling. He didn't know why, but he felt like he couldn't see through Lin Ling. It was as though if Lin Ling used all his trump cards, he could reach 50% of Jie Yuan's strength. Hearing this, the crowd's expression changed. The military monarch actually praised Lin Ling? Especially Ling Wulai and the others. They were all speechless and jealous.